The ocean is a scary place for many of us, and when we begin to think about some of the countless ship disappearances, we start to do everything in our power to never go near the water again. But that's just some of us. However, every year reports of missing ships appear out of nowhere, and it seems like it's becoming as common as seeing fishes in the water. I'm your host Andrew, and today I found the top 10 scary ghost ship sightings. At a number 10 spot, we have the Michigan Triangle. Well, guess Michigan has their very own version of Bermuda's Devil Triangle, and it contains just as much unexplained phenomena as Bermuda. The triangle goes from Manitowoc, Wisconsin, to Ludington to Benton Harbor in Michigan. It was early spring 1937 when Captain Donner was just managing his freighter ship called the O.S. McFarland through these icy waters. He was tired, so he decided to sleep and asked for one of his crewmates to wake him up when they approached shore. As they approached shore, they decided to wake up the captain, but as they looked and they kicked the door down, they noticed that he vanished with no signs whatsoever. Now the triangle claims the lives of many ships and planes just like the Bermuda. They also have sightings of the O.S. McFarland, but as they try to get a closer look, it disappears right into the waters. An odd thing about this place is that when divers go to check the wreckages of the ships and planes, they notice that everything is intact, including the bodies of the deceased and the ship as a whole. This is by far the scariest triangle because there is no way around it other than land. So basically, there's no point of traveling in Michigan's Great Lakes. Number 9, the Orang Madon. In 1947, an American ship picked up a disturbing stress call from an identified vessel. The first transmission was sent using Morse code, and it said, quote, "We float, all officers including the captain dead." The next transmission said the whole crew had perished, and the final transmission said, quote, "I die." The Americans traced the signal back to the ship that was drifting across the Indian Ocean. They quickly assembled a rescue team to go inside of the ship, but they discovered something was very off. When they entered the ship, they found the entire crew had perished in the exact positions as one another. They're all found on their backs with their hands up, looking as if they were fighting something above them. It's also noted that it was a warm weather day at around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but the ship was found to be around 40 degrees. As they were leaving the ship, trying to tow it back, it suddenly exploded and then sank. No one really had an explanation for this. Number 8, the USS Cyclops ghost ship. The disappearance of the USS Cyclops, one of the Navy's biggest fuel ships, marks the largest loss of life in the history of the US Navy in a single accident. In March 1918, this massive ship set out to sail from Brazil to Baltimore through the Bermuda Triangle with about 309 crew members on board. Once they set off, no signs of issues were reported on the ship. However, the ship was never to be heard from again. An entire search of the area was put into action, but nothing was ever found. No remains of the ship or any crew members aboard has ever been found. What was odd was that the captain of the USS Cyclops never sent out a distress signal. Ships and planes that have traveled through the Bermuda Triangle have said that they have spotted this large naval ship still sailing within. But every time they attempt to get closer or contact the ship, it would begin to vanish out of thin air. Number 7, the MV Joyita. This fishing and charter boat was discovered abandoned in the South Pacific in 1955. 5 weeks after it has been reported missing. The ship was 69 feet long and weighed around 47 tons. The air search mission was unable to locate it until a merchant ship found it drifting nearly 600 miles off of its origin, with no signs of passengers, crew members, or even cargo. The life rafts, as well as the firearms and other equipment on board, were completely missing. On the deck, there was a doctor's bag and several bloody bandages, and the broken radio was set to universe distress signal. What happened there, however, was never revealed because none of the crew was ever seen again. It was theorized that something happened in the middle of the sea, causing everyone on board to jump off. But who really knows what happened to these people? Number 6, Beichimo. Beichimo was a Swedish cargo steamship built in 1914. It was used for trade between the Inuit natives of Victoria Island and the settlers of the Northwest Territory. In 1931, Beichimo became trapped in ice and the crew abandoned ship, setting up camp nearby. They briefly reboarded when the ship temporarily broke free, but it soon became icebound again. All but a 15-man skeleton crew were airlifted away, while the remaining crew kept watch over the trapped vessel and its cargo from a nearby shelter. During a violent blizzard, Beichimo disappeared and the crew assumed she broke apart during the storm and sank. However, days later, the vessel was spotted 45 miles away, again trapped in ice, which seemed to be on the brink of sinking again. But this time, Beichimo did not sink, as there was at least 11 reported sightings of the ghost ship over the next 4 decades. The last sighting was reported by Inuit fishermen who spotted her off the Alaskan coast, trapped in ice of course. In 1969, 30 years after her crew abandoned her originally. She has never been spotted again, and her ultimate fate is unknown, but if she ever does pop up again, I guarantee it'll make news reports everywhere. In the hump of our list, we have the ghost ship of Plate River. If you visit the Pathfinder Dam on the North Plate River, there's a small chance you might get a glimpse of the ghost ship. It's believed that every 25 years, a death ship appears out of the midst near the dam. The first ever recorded sighting of the eerie vessel was in 1862 when a trapper named Leon Weber reported a large wave of fog, then saying it took the form of a sailing ship with a mast and sails covered in silvery shiny frost. He said he saw people on board, but they're all covered in this shiny frost. Then there was another sighting in 1887 when cattleman Gene Wilson saw the exact frosty ship appear out of nowhere. He would also report people on board, but they're all frozen, and when he went home, he found that his house was burned to ashes and his wife was also found dead. Number 4, North Korean ghost ships. Hundreds of abandoned boats from North Korea wash up on Japanese and Russian coastlines each year. Some of the vessels contain the crew's remains, but they're usually just a pile of bones. These ghost ships are thought to be a result of North Korea fishermen becoming lost at sea and dying from malnutrition or other weather exposure. The ships are typically old and lack strong engines. I mean, it's from North Korea. They're pretty much still living in the 1980s still. However, after an investigation was done, they found that these boats were actually sent out from China as a way for them to fish illegally in North Korean waters, which completely violates the UN sanctions. Number 3, the Ghost of Shackleton. In 1915, explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton and his crew set off on a voyage to explore the South Pole. However, before they could make it there, the ship they were on got trapped and crushed by ice. The crew managed to hop on a lifeboat and travel hundreds of miles to safety. Ernest Shackleton miraculously survived, but he didn't stop there. He decided to travel once again, but would pass away this time from a heart attack and was buried on Ross Island in the South Pole. Now, it's said that this hut, which stands to this day, is actually haunted by his ghost. Another polar explorer by the name of Sir Edmund Hillary is known for being one of the first to summit Mount Everest and also travel to the South Pole, having been inspired by Shackleton's expedition. However, when he arrived, Sir Edmund admitted to seeing his ghost as well as the ship that he was on when he got there in the first place. He would recall a lot of the time seeing a ship stuck in ice but no one on board. Number 2, Jenny the Ghost Ship. This is a story of a ship that was found before it was lost. As the story goes, in 1840, Hope came across the ship Jenny completely frozen in ice in the Antarctic Drake Passage. Crew members of the Hope reported that it first looked like a battered ship, but as they approached it, they noticed it was something much darker. The crew saw 7 men standing on the deck of this ghostly ship. However, they were standing frozen solid. The rest of the crew, including the captain, were also found frozen to death in other places of the ship. As they hit the captain quarters, they read the ship's last log saying, quote, May 4th, 1823, no food for 71 days. I am the only one left alive. The ship set sail all the way back in 1823, which meant that it was frozen in ice for almost 20 years. At number 1 spot, we have Marie Celeste. On the fateful day of December 5th, 1872, Mary Celeste set sail from New York Harbor to carry cargo all the way to Italy. But unfortunately, the ship never made it to the destination. After several search and rescue efforts, the ship was found adrift in Bermuda Triangle, but none of its crew of 11 people were found. Personal belongings, food containers, precious cargo, and lifeboats were still there on the ship. Rotten food was also found on board, and foul play was not detected throughout the entire ship. The boat was basically still seaworthy, and it made a lot of people wonder why they even got out the boat in the first place. And it just seemed that everyone just disappeared without a single piece of evidence, almost as if they jumped off the ship and just abandoned it and just started swimming. Since it had ended up in the Bermuda Triangle, it can be said that it had become a product of a curse, but that's if you believe that type of stuff. These are the top 10 scary ghost sightings. What do you guys think about this list? Leave a comment down below with some of your thoughts. Like and subscribe to this video for some more content. I'm your host Andrew, and I hope you guys have a scary day.